chosen one, your own true identity, will shock you, guaranteed. Something very important is about to touch your heart in a way you were not expecting, and if you stay here with an open spirit, you may feel a quiet shift that brings peace, healing, and a deep sense of being seen by God in a way you have never felt before. There is a reason you found these words at this exact moment, and it is not random or accidental, because the love of Jesus moves gently but with perfect timing, reaching people when they are ready to receive something life-changing and deeply comforting. Type 888 if you believe. You have spent so much time wondering who you really are, carrying thoughts that sometimes felt heavy and confusing, and yet somewhere deep inside there has always been a soft whisper telling you that you are more than what the world has shown you. That whisper has never left you, even in your quietest and hardest moments, because it comes from God, who has been watching over you with love that never fades or turns away. If this moment feels even a little special to your heart, gently take a second to like this video, because that simple action allows this warmth and hope to reach someone else who might be waiting for the same comfort and light you are feeling right now. There was once a soul who felt lost in a world that seemed too loud and too demanding, constantly trying to fit into shapes that never truly felt right, and every day felt like a quiet struggle to understand their own place and purpose. This soul would often sit in silence, looking at the sky, hoping for a sign that would make everything clear and bring peace to the restless thoughts that would not stop. Even in those moments, Jesus was near, not far away, gently surrounding that heart with a love that did not need to be earned or proven. Subscribe to this channel if you love God. One evening, as the sun slowly disappeared and the sky turned soft and calm, something inside that soul began to change in a quiet but powerful way. It was not loud or dramatic, but it felt real and deep, like a warm light slowly filling a dark room. The soul did not understand it fully, but there was a growing sense that they were not forgotten, not alone, and not ordinary in the way they had always believed. Jesus does not look at people the way the world does, because his eyes see truth beyond fear, beyond mistakes, and beyond all the labels that others may have placed on a person. He sees identity in its pure and beautiful form, shaped by love, purpose, and a connection to God that cannot be broken by any circumstance or past experience. This is the identity that has been waiting quietly inside you, even when you could not see it clearly. Type yes to affirm. The soul began to notice small changes in everyday life, like feeling calm in moments that used to bring worry, or feeling guided when making simple decisions that once felt overwhelming. These were not coincidences, but gentle signs of God's presence, working softly within, helping the soul begin to see themselves in a new and true way. It was as if a hidden truth was slowly being uncovered, piece by piece, revealing something beautiful that had always been there. There is something powerful about the way Jesus restores identity, because he does not rebuild you into someone new, but instead reveals who you have always been in God's eyes. This kind of truth can feel surprising, even shocking in the most peaceful way, because it changes how you see your past, your present, and your future. The soul began to understand that they were never meant to live in confusion or doubt, but in clarity and quiet confidence rooted in God's love. As days passed, the feeling grew stronger, and the soul started to recognize that their worth was not connected to success, approval, or comparison with others. Instead, their worth came from being known and loved by God, who created them with care, intention, and a purpose that is unique and meaningful. This realization brought a deep sense of relief, like finally putting down a heavy burden that had been carried for far too long. There was a moment when everything became clear in a way that felt both gentle and powerful, like a soft voice speaking directly to the heart without using words. The soul realized that their true identity was not hidden far away, but had always been close, waiting to be seen through the light of Jesus. This understanding did not bring pride or fear, but peace, because it felt right and true in a way that nothing else ever had. God's love has a way of uncovering truth without causing harm, because it heals as it reveals, and it comforts as it restores. The soul felt this deeply, like being held in a place where nothing could hurt them, where every part of them was accepted and understood. This is what happens when identity is seen through God's eyes, because it becomes something strong, peaceful, and unshakable. Even when the world around you may still feel uncertain or confusing at times, there is a steady truth inside you that cannot be taken away, because it comes from a place deeper than anything outside of you. Jesus gently reminds every chosen soul that their identity is not something to search for endlessly, but something to receive with trust and openness. It is a gift that has always been yours, waiting for the moment when your heart is ready to see it clearly. The soul began to walk differently, not in a way that others would always notice, but in a quiet and steady confidence that came from knowing who they truly were. There was no need to prove anything or chase approval, because the peace within was enough. This kind of peace does not come from the world, but from a connection with God that brings strength even in the simplest moments. A newly revealed brainwave method, supported by neuroscience findings, is attracting attention from people around the world. Some users have nicknamed it the money magnet frequency, because of the results they claim to experience after using it consistently. In just seconds a day, this technique is believed to activate the brain's natural prosperity setting. Click the link in the description and comments below to unlock the abundance already waiting within you. As you sit with these words, there is a gentle reminder being placed in your heart that you are not ordinary, not forgotten, and not without purpose. There is something within you that is deeply connected to God's love, and it is more powerful and beautiful than anything you have been told before. This truth may feel surprising, but it is real, and it is meant to bring you peace, hope, and a quiet sense of joy that stays with you. Jesus is near, closer than you think, and his presence is not something distant or unreachable, but something warm and real that surrounds you even now. He sees your true identity clearly, and he is guiding you gently toward understanding it in a way that will bring comfort and strength to your heart. This journey is not rushed, and it is not forced, because God works with patience and love, allowing each step to unfold naturally and beautifully. The soul in this journey began to notice that the old thoughts that once felt so loud and heavy were slowly losing their power, and in their place came a softer, kinder voice that spoke with patience and understanding. This voice did not rush or demand anything, but instead offered comfort and guidance in a way that felt safe and deeply reassuring. It was the presence of Jesus working quietly within, helping the soul see things from a place of truth rather than fear. There was a time when the soul believed that identity was something to build through effort, shaped by opinions, achievements, and the need to be accepted by others. Yet this new understanding began to gently remove those beliefs one by one. It became clear that true identity is not something that needs to be created or earned, but something that already exists, placed carefully within by God with love and purpose. This realization felt like a slow sunrise after a long night, bringing light to places that had once felt uncertain and dark. As this awareness continued to grow, the soul started to feel a deep sense of peace in moments that once brought anxiety and doubt, and even the smallest parts of daily life began to feel different. Simple things like walking outside, hearing the sound of the wind, or watching the sky began to carry a quiet beauty that reminded the soul of God's presence in everything. This connection was not loud or overwhelming, but steady and real, like a constant reminder that they were never alone. There is something powerful about the way Jesus reveals truth, because it does not come with pressure or fear, but with a calm assurance that allows the heart to open slowly and naturally. The soul began to understand that every part of their story, even the painful and confusing moments, had been seen and held by God, who never once turned away or lost sight of them. This understanding brought a gentle healing that did not erase the past, but transformed how it was felt and remembered. In one quiet moment, as the soul sat in stillness, there came a deep realization that their life had always been guided in ways they had not fully noticed before. Even in times when everything seemed uncertain or difficult, there had been small moments of protection, guidance, and unexpected peace that now felt like clear signs of God's presence. These memories began to come together like pieces of a larger picture, revealing a path that had always been leading toward truth and understanding. The soul began to feel a growing sense of trust, not only in God, but also in themselves, as they started to see their own heart through a new and loving perspective. Instead of focusing on flaws or mistakes, there was now a gentle acceptance and kindness that allowed them to embrace who they truly were without fear or judgment. This kind of acceptance brought freedom because it removed the need to constantly prove or fix something that was never broken in the first place. There is a quiet strength that comes from knowing your true identity, and it is not something that needs to be shown or explained to others, but something that is felt deeply within. The soul began to carry this strength in a calm and steady way, allowing it to guide their thoughts, actions, and choices without force or struggle. It was like walking with a light that could not be dimmed, no matter what happened around them. As the days continued, there were moments when the old fears tried to return, bringing familiar doubts and questions, yet they no longer held the same power as before. The soul could now recognize them as passing thoughts rather than truth, and with that awareness came the ability to let them go without becoming overwhelmed. This shift was gentle but powerful, showing that true identity is stronger than any fear that once tried to define it. Jesus continued to work quietly within, not through grand or dramatic signs, but through small, meaningful changes that slowly transformed the way the soul experienced life. There was a deeper sense of peace, a clearer understanding of purpose, and a growing feeling of being connected to something greater than anything the world could offer. This connection was not distant or unreachable, but close and personal, like a steady presence that never left. The soul began to notice that love felt different now, not something that needed to be chased or earned, but something that was already present and freely given. This understanding changed the way they saw others as well, bringing more patience, compassion, and kindness into their interactions. It became easier to forgive, easier to understand, and easier to remain calm, even in challenging situations. There is a beauty in the way God reveals identity, because it brings both peace and clarity at the same time, allowing the heart to rest while also seeing things more clearly than ever before. The soul felt this balance growing stronger each day, creating a sense of stability that was not easily shaken by outside circumstances. It was a quiet confidence that did not need to be spoken, because it was deeply felt. What if one simple sound frequency could help unlock a new level of financial opportunity? Previously hidden within classified research, this unusual signal is now being explored by thousands of people seeking greater prosperity and freedom. Many believe it helps align the mind with success and abundance. Click the link in the description and comments now to discover the hidden brainwave for yourself. Even now, as this journey continues, there is still more to unfold, more to understand, and more to experience, yet there is no rush or pressure to reach any final point. Everything is happening in its perfect time, guided by a love that knows exactly what is needed and when it is needed. This gentle unfolding is part of the beauty of walking with Jesus, because it allows every step to feel meaningful and complete in its own way. The soul in this journey slowly began to notice that the way they saw themselves was changing in a very natural and gentle way, without effort or pressure. The old feelings of not being enough, not being seen, or not being understood were fading, and in their place came a quiet confidence that did not need to be explained or proven. This confidence was not built on anything outside, but on a growing awareness of God's love living within them. There was a time when the soul would look at others and feel the need to compare, to measure their worth against what they saw around them, yet that feeling was now dissolving in a peaceful and freeing way. It became clear that every person carries their own journey, their own path, and their own connection with God, and that true identity is not something that can be compared or copied. This realization brought a deep sense of freedom that allowed the soul to simply be, without fear or pressure. In one soft and still moment, the soul felt something deeply comforting, like being wrapped in a presence that understood everything without needing words. It was not something that could be seen, yet it was more real than anything they had ever experienced before. This was the quiet presence of Jesus, reminding the soul that they had always been known, always been loved, and always been held with care. There is a gentle truth that begins to rise when you start to see yourself through God's eyes, and it brings a calm strength that stays even when everything else feels uncertain. The soul began to understand that their identity was not shaped by past mistakes or difficult moments, but by a deeper truth that had never been changed or broken. This understanding brought healing to places that had once felt heavy, allowing them to feel lighter and more at peace. As this new awareness continued to grow, the soul found themselves responding differently to situations that once caused stress or fear. Instead of reacting quickly or feeling overwhelmed, there was now a quiet pause, a moment of stillness where they could feel God's presence guiding them gently. This pause became a place of strength, where peace could be chosen instead of fear, and trust could take the place of doubt. There is something deeply beautiful about the way God restores the heart, because He does not rush the process or force change, but allows everything to unfold with care and patience. The soul began to see that even the slow moments were meaningful, and that every small step forward was part of a greater journey that was guided with love and purpose. This brought a sense of comfort that made it easier to trust the process without needing to control every outcome. At times, memories from the past would return, bringing reminders of moments that once felt painful or confusing, yet they no longer held the same weight as before. The soul could now look at those memories with a softer perspective, seeing not only the pain but also the quiet ways God had been present even then. This new way of seeing brought a deep sense of healing, as if old wounds were finally being touched with gentle care. There was a growing realization that identity is not something fragile or easily lost, but something strong and deeply rooted in God's love. No matter what happens in life, this truth remains steady, like a foundation that cannot be shaken. The soul began to feel secure in a way that did not depend on circumstances, but on something far deeper and more lasting. As the days passed, there was a noticeable shift in how the soul experienced joy, because it no longer came from external things alone, but from a quiet inner peace that stayed even in simple moments. Whether sitting in silence, walking alone, or simply breathing in the stillness, there was a sense of contentment that felt complete and whole. This kind of joy did not fade quickly, but remained steady, like a gentle light that continued to shine. Jesus continued to guide the soul in ways that were soft and almost unnoticeable at first, yet deeply meaningful over time. It was in the way certain thoughts felt clearer, in the way decisions felt guided without confusion, and in the way peace would return even after moments of uncertainty. This guidance was not forced or overwhelming, but natural and steady, like a quiet hand leading the way. There is a powerful truth in understanding who you are in God, because it changes not only how you see yourself, but also how you move through the world around you. The soul began to carry themselves with a calm presence that did not seek attention, yet quietly reflected something strong and peaceful. Others could feel this difference, even if they could not fully understand it, because true identity carries a presence that cannot be hidden. In a quiet moment of reflection, the soul realized that they were no longer searching for something outside to complete them, because what they needed had already been placed within them by God. This realization brought a deep sense of rest, like finally arriving at a place that had always been home. There was no more striving, no more endless searching, only a steady peace that felt right and true. A brainwave technique, once hidden from public view, is now becoming available to everyone. Taking only seconds to perform, the method is being called a breakthrough by those who have experienced positive changes after using it. Experts suggest it may stimulate an underused mental center associated with prosperity and personal growth. Click the link in the comments below before the information disappears again. As you continue to walk through this journey, there is a gentle reminder that this same truth is unfolding within you as well, even if it feels slow or quiet at times. There is no need to rush or force anything, because God is working within you with perfect care, revealing your true identity in a way that brings peace and understanding. This process is not about becoming someone else, but about seeing clearly who you have always been. The soul in this journey began to notice that even in silence, there was a presence that felt warm and constant, like being surrounded by a love that never moved away or faded. It was not something that needed to be called or searched for, because it had always been there, patiently waiting for the heart to become still enough to notice it. This presence was the gentle nearness of Jesus, bringing comfort without needing to speak loudly. There was a time when the soul felt the need to hold tightly to control, trying to understand every outcome and prepare for every possibility. Yet this need slowly softened as a deeper trust began to take its place. It became easier to release the weight of trying to manage everything, because there was now a quiet belief that God was already guiding each step with care and purpose. This trust did not come all at once, but grew slowly, like a seed that had finally found the right soil to take root. As this trust continued to grow, the soul started to feel a new kind of freedom, one that did not depend on circumstances or approval, but came from within. It was a freedom that allowed them to breathe more deeply, to move more gently, and to experience life without the constant pressure of needing to be something they were not. This freedom felt natural and peaceful, like returning to a place that had always been meant for them. There is something deeply comforting about knowing that your identity is not something that can be taken away by the opinions of others or the challenges of life, because it is held securely in God's love. The soul began to understand that no matter what happened around them, this truth would remain steady and unchanging. This realization brought a quiet strength that made it easier to face each day without fear. In one soft moment of reflection, the soul realized that the journey they had been walking was not leading them toward something new, but bringing them back to something that had always been true. It was like remembering a part of themselves that had been hidden under layers of doubt and confusion, now slowly coming into the light. This realization did not feel overwhelming, but deeply right, like something that had always belonged to them. The presence of Jesus continued to reveal itself in simple and meaningful ways, not through grand signs, but through small moments of clarity and peace that felt real, and lasting. It was in the quiet assurance that everything would be okay, in the gentle guidance that came during uncertain times, and in the steady feeling of being supported even when things were unclear. This presence became a source of comfort that the soul could return to again and again. There was also a growing awareness that love itself had begun to feel different, no longer something that needed to be earned or held onto tightly, but something that flowed freely and naturally. The soul found it easier to give kindness, to show patience, and to respond with understanding, because they were no longer operating from a place of lack or fear. This shift brought a deeper sense of connection with others, as well as with God. At times, the soul would look back at the person they once believed themselves to be, and there would be a quiet sense of compassion rather than regret. They could see how every experience, even the difficult ones, had played a role in bringing them to this place of understanding. Nothing had been wasted or meaningless, because every part of the journey had been held within God's greater plan. There is a powerful peace that comes from accepting your true identity, because it removes the need to constantly question or doubt yourself. The soul began to rest in this acceptance, allowing it to shape the way they moved through life without resistance. This kind of peace is not fragile or temporary, but steady and lasting, because it is rooted in something far deeper than the surface of life. As the days continued to unfold, there was a noticeable softness in the way the soul approached each moment, no longer rushing or forcing things to happen, but allowing life to flow naturally. This softness was not weakness, but a quiet strength that came from trusting in God's timing and guidance. It allowed the soul to remain calm even when things did not go as expected. Jesus continued to guide the journey with a gentle hand, never pushing or overwhelming, but always present in a way that felt safe and reassuring. The soul began to recognize this guidance more clearly, learning to trust the quiet feelings of peace that would arise when moving in the right direction. This trust became a steady companion, helping them navigate each step with confidence. There is something deeply beautiful about the way God reveals truth, because it comes with both clarity and comfort, allowing the heart to understand without fear. The soul felt this balance growing stronger, creating a sense of stability that remained even during uncertain times. This stability was not dependent on external circumstances, but on a deep inner knowing that everything was unfolding as it should. Researchers suggest that a little-known region of the brain may play an important role in achievement, confidence, and financial growth. Once discussed only within restricted studies, a newly revealed frequency is now helping people move beyond financial stress and toward greater peace of mind. Perhaps this message appeared for a reason. Click the link in the description and comments now to activate this hidden brainwave. In a quiet and meaningful moment, the soul realized that they were no longer searching for answers in the same way as before, because the need to search had been replaced by a gentle knowing. This knowing was not something that needed to be explained or proven, but something that was simply felt and trusted. It brought a sense of rest that felt complete and fulfilling. As you continue to move forward, there is a gentle reminder that this same truth is alive within you, quietly growing and unfolding in its perfect time. There is no need to rush or force anything, because everything is being guided with care and love by God. This journey is not about becoming something new, but about remembering who you have always been. The soul in this journey started to notice that even in moments of stillness, there was a presence that felt steady and comforting, like a soft light that never faded or moved away. This knowing did not come from outside sources or external approval, but from a deep connection with God that had always been there. It was like discovering a hidden part of themselves that had been waiting patiently to be seen. There is something deeply healing about seeing yourself through God's love, because it removes the weight of doubt and replaces it with peace that feels strong and lasting. The soul began to experience this healing in a quiet and steady way, noticing that old worries no longer carried the same weight, and that a sense of calm was beginning to take their place. This calm was not temporary, but rooted in something far deeper. As this understanding continued to grow, the soul found that even difficult moments felt different, no longer overwhelming or confusing in the same way as before. There was now a quiet strength that allowed them to remain steady, even when circumstances were uncertain. This strength did not come from effort, but from a deep trust in God's presence and guidance. There was also a soft and meaningful shift in the way the soul experienced time, no longer feeling rushed or pressured to reach a certain place, but instead moving with a gentle patience that allowed each moment to unfold naturally. This patience brought a sense of peace that made it easier to trust the journey without needing to control every detail. It felt like being carried gently, rather than having to walk alone. The presence of Jesus became more familiar, not as something distant or unreachable, but as something close and constant that could be felt in the simplest moments. Whether in silence, in thought, or in the quiet rhythm of everyday life, this presence remained steady and real. It became a source of comfort that the soul could return to at any time. There is a quiet beauty in understanding that your true identity is not shaped by what you have gone through, but by the love that has always held you through it all. The soul began to see their past in a new light, not as something to carry with pain, but as something that had been gently guided and protected, even in moments that once felt uncertain. This new perspective brought a deep sense of healing and peace. As the days continued to pass, there was a noticeable calmness in the way the soul moved through life, no longer reacting with fear or doubt, but responding with trust and understanding. This calmness was not something that needed to be forced, but something that flowed naturally from within. It was a reflection of the truth that had begun to take root in their heart. Jesus continued to guide the journey with a gentle and steady presence, never overwhelming or rushing the process, but allowing everything to unfold with care and intention. The soul began to trust this guidance more deeply, recognizing that every step was being led with purpose and love. This trust brought a quiet confidence that remained even in uncertain moments. There is a powerful peace that comes from knowing who you truly are, because it removes the need to constantly question or doubt yourself. The soul began to rest in this peace, allowing it to shape the way they thought, felt, and moved through each day. This kind of peace is not easily shaken, because it is rooted in something that cannot be taken away. In a gentle moment of reflection, the soul realized that they were no longer searching for something to complete them, because what they needed had already been placed within them by God. This realization brought a sense of fullness that felt calm and complete, like finally arriving at a place that had always been meant for them. There was no more striving, only a steady and quiet peace. What if financial success has less to do with luck and more to do with a hidden signal within the mind? According to recently revealed information, a powerful brain frequency may help people recognize opportunities, increase focus, and attract greater abundance. Thousands are already exploring this technique and sharing surprising results. Click the link in the description and comments now to activate the wealth-focused brainwave today. As you continue to walk forward, there is a soft reminder that this same truth is growing within you, even if it feels quiet or slow at times. There is no need to rush or force anything, because God is revealing your true identity with perfect care and timing. This journey is not about becoming someone else, but about seeing clearly who you have always been.